That's for someone who decides to live with me to decide, not for me.
January 18, 1968. One day, one lunch. This was the White House, the peak of the Vietnam War. Eartha Kitt, a star, a symbol of success, came for lunch with the First Lady. The official topic, juvenile delinquency. Nobody expected a scandal. Nobody expected just one sentence would destroy her career. She put everything on the line just to tell the truth. She paid a price of 10 years of exile. They practically erased her from America. Today we will reconstruct that conversation. This is the story of how the system punishes honesty. Are you ready to see what happens behind the closed doors of power? The Golden Cage. Who was Eartha Kitt by 1968? She was Catwoman from the cult TV series Batman. She was the most exciting woman in the world, a diva who sang in 6 languages. Her career was a complete Hollywood myth, a girl from poverty, an orphan raised on a cotton farm. She went through everything to become a cabaret star in Paris. She was Orson Welles' favorite. He called her the most exciting woman on earth. Her albums sold millions. She performed for European monarchs. Kitt became a symbol that the American dream works, on the condition that you keep silent. Kitt became the person the elite loved. She was the perfect, absolutely safe black celebrity. She was not interested in politics, only the stage. She demonstrated this. Or so everyone thought. 1968 was the hottest point in U.S. history. The Vietnam War was tearing the country apart. Hundreds of young men died every day. Civil rights had just been won, but racism was still widespread. The White House acted as if everything was under control. President Lyndon Johnson was sitting on a powder keg. He needed a pretense of unity. He needed silence. These events served exactly this purpose. Lady Bird Johnson hosted luncheons for influential women. The official topic: how to combat juvenile delinquency. Eartha Kitt was the perfect guest star. She embodied success, an example for others. But she saw what was happening in the streets. She felt it inside herself. An invitation to the White House is the highest honor. It is a sign that the system has accepted you. Most people would just say thank you. Eartha Kitt chose differently. The fateful lunch. January 18, the East Room. 50 women, the cream of society. All in elegant suits, polite smiles, expensive jewelry, impeccable etiquette. Lady Bird Johnson led a polite conversation about problems. She talked about modest efforts, about helping the poor. She mentioned her city beautification projects. Cleaning up the country, that was her main idea. She expected feedback on the importance of public service. Then she gave the floor to Eartha Kitt. She expected an inspiring speech from the star, a speech about the importance of perseverance. Kitt stood up. Her words detonated like an explosion. She did not read a pre-written text. She spoke from the heart. She did not talk about petty crime. She went to the core, straight to the point. She said, "You do not need programs. Start by stopping the war." You ask why young people are rebelling? The youth from the streets are angry because you send them off to die. The best young men in the country are being sent to the slaughterhouse. And their mothers and wives are being killed by fear and anger. Their families do not know if their sons will return. That silence was unbearable. It was physically audible. Nobody talked about Vietnam that directly, in the face of power. Especially not in the White House. Especially not in front of the First Lady. Kitt did not lower her eyes. She looked directly at the hostess. Kitt continued, "You do not know what poverty is. You do not understand what it means to be black in this country. That is not your experience. You cannot buy it. You live in your golden cages. How can you talk about morality when such horror is happening?" According to accounts, Lady Bird Johnson started to cry. She could not hold it back. She was shocked, offended, humiliated. Her society world collapsed. "I have given too much to this country," she cried out. She felt like a victim. Kitt did not back down. She replied that she gave her heart, but this heart was not needed by anyone here. But her heart, essentially, interested no one here. She finished, turned around and left. The door closed behind her. That was the end of the lunch. But it was only the beginning of the end of her life in the U.S. Official retaliation. What happens after something like that? The media got the perfect headline. Diva reduced First Lady to tears. But the press did not stop at the scandal. They were given an order. A targeted campaign began. A powerful, coordinated strike. Eartha Kitt was framed as a hysteric, a woman who snapped and made a scene. Her words no longer held any weight. A harsh, planned information leak. Anything to discredit her. She was emotionally unstable. The media emphasized her past, poverty, being an orphan. They hinted at instability. That her success was a mistake. All her contracts started to disappear fast. Studios stopped calling. Calls from her agency went unanswered. Concerts were canceled one after another. Major sponsors pulled away, and no one explained the reason. This was not an official ban. No paperwork, no laws. This was cancel culture, long before the term existed. A quiet, deadly boycott. But the authorities did not stop with the press. The real state apparatus was activated. The special services got involved. Right after the incident, Lady Bird sent a request. She used her influence. She asked the CIA to investigate who Eartha Kitt was. What did they know about her? And why did she even dare to say that? The goal: to establish political ties. The CIA and FBI immediately opened a file on her. They collected all information: where she was from, who her friends were, and most importantly, her political views. She was labeled a vengeful, defiant woman. The CIA report, which was later declassified, contained everything. The story of her childhood, her life in Europe, her acquaintances. They were looking for any hook. A 44-page dossier. The goal was singular: to find dirt, to prove she was a communist agent or insane. It was important for the system not just to punish. It was crucial to erase her words, to make sure her truth did not matter. Kitt realized she could no longer work in this country. The choice was obvious: leave or break. Erased for a decade. Eartha Kitt left. She did not wait for an arrest or an official verdict. The United States closed its doors to her. She was a persona non grata. She moved to Europe, to Great Britain. She was remembered there as a cabaret star. She was the queen of Europe. She performed, but it was a different league. She sang in small clubs, not on Broadway. It was a decent income, but not fame. She lived, but it was a life in the shadows, far from the main show. 10 years of total oblivion in America. She was an unreturnable celebrity. For 10 years, her name did not appear on the charts. She simply vanished from the airwaves. All that remained were rumors of her mental breakdown. That was the version circulated by the authorities, a lie that no one checked. The poor, unbalanced diva. Exactly that, and nothing else. She knew that she was not to blame. The system was to blame. This story is the perfect instrument of control. It worked flawlessly. It shows what will happen to anyone who dares. It makes others fear. It forces silence. Everything changed in 1978. 10 years later, under a different administration. She came to New York to sing at a benefit concert. The audience gave her a standing ovation. They remembered her, despite everything. And then a journalist found her file. The CIA declassified the report. He published it in the press. For the first time, the truth came out. The White House secrets became a fact. People learned she was absent because of a political ban, because of a direct order from above. She was absent because of the CIA, the FBI, and the First Lady's rage. That was the true reason for the breakdown. The scandal was loud. The public demanded answers. The scandal forced the system to retreat. They could no longer deny it. Her career started to rise again. Slowly, at first, then with renewed force, with a sense of justice. She returned to Hollywood, became Catwoman again. She was rehabilitated. But that conversation in 1968 stayed with her. It defined her as a person. It made her a legend. The price of honesty. Eartha Kitt did not break. She endured. She returned, despite being canceled. She restored her honor. She proved that the truth cannot be erased. It can only be temporarily silenced. But let us look at this story more broadly. It is not about one star. It is much bigger than show business. It is about the price a person pays for the truth and how power operates. The system does not forgive when you speak directly to its face. It does not tolerate when you destroy the comfort of the powerful. Power always needs a beautiful wrapper, and Kitt tore it off. For this, there are dossiers, there is media, there is oblivion. It is a standard set of tools. For this, she had to give up 10 years, a decade of silence and exile. But she, in the end, emerged victorious. Her legacy is untainted. Because her words still sound loud. They are still relevant. Wars and social injustice have not disappeared. Eartha Kitt chose truth, not comfort. She chose her conscience. She could have stayed silent, lived luxuriously and safely, but she chose to speak. This is her real lesson. What about you? What would you have said if you had been there, at that table? Let us know in the comments. Your opinion matters. Which of these stories, in your view, is the most important? The story of bravery or the story of power?